Hey, what's up guys and welcome back to Anime King, and today I'm going to be giving you part 12 of What If Naruto Was a Godly Mage. Remember to get this one to 300 likes as usual, share this to all of your friends in your social media platform, and also guys, stay in tune because I'm going to be posting a new episode of What If Naruto Became the God of Wayne on this channel, so stay tuned for that. I already posted a new episode of What If Naruto is an OP Seal Master over on Anime King 2, so go ahead and enjoy that. And I'm going to be posting a new episode of What If Naruto got his memory sealed away, so stay tuned for that as well guys. And remember, if you're new and this is the first time you hear my voice and you enjoy the videos on both Anime King and Anime King 2, go ahead and click that red subscribe button and become a part of the Anime King family. And thank you for all of your help and your support, and yeah, without further ado, what do you say we begin this new episode? Begin the intro. So, the last time we left off, Naruto was currently in a council meeting. As the elders, all of them were talking. The elders were suspicious along with the civilian council because they needed answers as well. The civilians in Konoha were scared, they were terrified at what happened, seeing that hand just came out of the sky, something literally tried to open the sky and come into their world. As many of them got flashbacks of the night with the Kyuubi, but this fear that they felt was almost unbearable, worse than when the Kyuubi attacked. As many of them suspicious of Naruto, well, the elders, because he had strange abilities, having no chakra and these strange abilities, but Sarutobi silenced all of that thought. None of them had any proof. He will undergo the investigation. He then sent all of the civilians out of the room. As he turned towards Hayashi, Hayashi saw that it wasn't a genjutsu, but his eyes couldn't fully manifest what that thing was, and he couldn't look in the strange dimension. All he saw was darkness before his eyes started to overwhelm with pain. And he couldn't even look through that beast's hand, he didn't even know what that was. As Sarutobi sighed, as he had to find out what happened. Some time later, Naruto was called, along with Sakura and Sasuke, as he headed towards a room in the tower. As Sarutobi asked him to inform him about what happened in the forest, as they told him about their interaction with Orochimaru. Sarutobi was looking at Naruto because he wasn't talking all that much, as the Kyuubi informed him better not to tell anyone about this, seeing that they already have a bad output on him because of her. She didn't want to make things more worse for him, so Naruto lied about it and told him that he was passed out the entire time. As Sarutobi noticed that something was off about him, he just didn't seem like the regular Naruto. After Kakashi had sealed away the mark, the group was sent back to the tower to wait their time. As Anko then arrived and asked Naruto if they were certain that nothing he saw out there. As Anko immediately knew that he was lying to her. She has known him for quite some time now, and she could just look on his face and tell that he was lying. But whatever he was lying about, he was scared. He was scared of them finding out. As she would be terrified as well if she was behind whatever happened, as she saw that Naruto had a look on his face to show that he didn't understand what happened. But she knew if it comes up to it, the village would not suffer one for thousands, as it would be really bad for him. But it doesn't matter what happens, she's sticking with him through the end, no matter what. The rest of the time then passed, as nothing really eventful happened until the preliminary started, as Kabuto left. Sasuke faced off against Yuri, as Sasuke had the curse mark C, so he was able to utilize his chakra. Yuri stood no chance and Sasuke easily defeated him. The rest of the matches went on, as Zaku was glaring at Naruto the entire time, as he wanted to kill Naruto for what happened in the forest. 2 times now, this boy is humiliating him on a dangerous level, and no one is gonna get away that 3rd time. As Gar faced off against Lee, forcing Guy to jump down there and block the sand. As Tenten was utterly obliterated by Temari, but Temari then made Tenten fall in her fan, hurting her back even more as she fall. As Naruto started to twist the iron that he was holding onto the railing, it was then that Hinata faced off against Neji, as Sarutobi, Anko, and Kakashi had their eye on Naruto. As everyone was watching, Kakashi was looking at Naruto very intently because Naruto was literally bending the iron that he was holding onto as it was about to snap. As Neji was about to deliver the final blow, Naruto, anger, overwhelming, rose to the surface as he exploded, snapping the railing and jumping off straight towards Neji. So yeah guys, so it's basically that's where we left off. You guys can switch across to the Blaze and check it out for yourself. So what do you say begin this new episode? Hinata slowly started to fall to the ground. She was already exhausted. She couldn't stand up anymore. Neji was rushing towards her with a final strike. A snapping sound could be heard as Naruto bursted off of the platform, going down towards Neji. Neji sensed something coming his way as he turned his head just in time, as a fist stopped inches away from his face. Neji here was violently blown back by the force of the attack. Even his feet skidded off a bit, as Neji was utterly and completely shocked. He just barely able to see the sight because his Byakugan was activated, but he wouldn't have been able to dodge it. He would have been hit square on. But Naruto was currently in mid-air as everyone was looking on at what was going on. Currently, at least 20 envoys, all of them on the top platform and ninja wires, as it was wrapped around Naruto tight. As Sarutobi figured that something like this would happen, so he had precautions set up just in case. Neji stood there with wide eyes, as he did not understand how was his boy was so easily able to go right into his guard. If he hadn't been stopped, he would have been hit square on, and his body was pushed back a bit by the force, even though he didn't touch him. Kurenai jumped off the railing, ignoring that for a second. She rushed over towards Hinata. "Medics!" she shouted, as the medics came on the field. Neji narrowed his eyes at the boy who was looking at him and struggling at ninja wires. Sarutobi and Anko landed right in front of Naruto. "Naruto, you need to calm down," said Anko, but what she saw startled her, as Sarutobi was taken aback as well. Because his eyes, they weren't blue. They had gotten a darker blue recently, but they weren't blue at all. They were black, completely black like night. There was nothing, no pupil, they were just black. They also saw strange markings start to appear all over his skin. The envoys, to their shock, the wires started to be pulled as he was struggling against them. As Sarutobi stepped forward, he was about to knock Naruto out until Naruto said a voice. Naruto turned his head instantly as he saw Hinata. All of the Ondu felt the restraint vanish instantly as the wires went limp as Naruto backed back. He then blinked a few times before his eyes returned back to normal. As he looked at himself, they seemed covered in wires. He simply shook his hand 2 times before they enveloped in flames as he burned right through them. But he didn't head towards Neji, he rushed towards Hinata's side as she was being put on the medical stretcher. "Naruto-kun," she said once more. "I'm here," he said as he looked down at her. A small smile came on her face before she passed out. As the medic started to rush off, as Naruto stepped forward, but Kurenai placed a hand on his shoulder. "You stay here," she said. "What? I have to know if she's alright." "Naruto," she said, "I know that you care about her. She's your best friend after all, and you're hers. But how do you think she would feel if she knew that she was responsible for you not taking part in the tuning exams and failing because of her? I will go, and I'll inform you as soon as I get back, okay?" As Naruto hesitated at first, but he nodded. "Thank you," he said. "No problem," said Kurenai as she headed off. She glanced at Naruto for a second before looking back over at Neji. As an angry scowl came on her face, she knew that the main and branch family did not really like each other well. They must have some sort of resentment because of the seals, but for this boy to take it this hard on Hinata, as she saw Hinata as something as a daughter, and this boy, he has went too far. As she just wished that Hinata was okay, as she rushed off. She then looked back at Naruto. She didn't even saw when he moved back there. She knew how much he cared about Hinata, and if anything were to happen to her, it would just break the boy. As Naruto stood there in the arena, Sarutobi stepped forward. "Naruto-kun," he said, "are you alright? Are you in control?" he asked. Naruto looked up hearing that question, as he tried to play it off. "Of course," he said. "What the hell happened?" said Anko. "I'm sorry," Naruto said, "I guess I lost it. Seeing him doing that to Hinata. I just couldn't bear to watch it anymore. I'm sorry for interfering in the exams," he said. As Sarutobi narrowed his eyes, but he didn't say anything. "Your match will be up soon. Return back to your position," he said. As Naruto nodded before heading off, Anko had a surprised look on her face. Are you really just gonna let him go like that, she said. You saw it as well, didn't you? Yeah, I did. But that power, that wasn't of the nine tails inside of him. That was something completely different. I felt the nine tails malicious chakra a long time ago. And that aura. But this is something unknown. As of now, we both know that he was lying. Uncle lowered her head. Yeah, she said. But what was that thing we don't know? As Sir Toby closed his eyes. This is getting far more worse than I expected. What are you gonna do? She asked. Uncle, you know how much I care for that boy. But if it comes up to it, if I have to protect the village and save thousands of lives, I will. And with that he walked off. Uncle understood. She understood the position the old man was in. As Naruto is slowly losing himself to anger rather quickly, and seeing what happened, the sky literally parting that vortex, and that monster, the hand was literally bigger than all the buildings in Konoha. They could literally squash them. She didn't even know what that was. If this is something that draws upon Naruto anger, and if the council ever finds out about this, they would call for Naruto execution right away. Anko turned as she watched Naruto retreating back, going back up towards the stands. Meanwhile, as Neji stepped forward, Guy was gone. Lee was severely damaged in his battle, and Guy went to check up on Lee. So right now, Tenten was the only one here, as she was scared that things would escalate when Naruto was about to walk by. Through here to get back to his team, as Tenten, she looked over at Neji. I know that you don't like her. But why do you have to take it so far? Neji said nothing at all, as she knew that Neji had the power to knock Hinata out without going so far. But he was trying to break her to show her that she was nothing, and he almost ended up killing her. As Tenten looked down to see Naruto went under, as he was coming up the stairs, as she knew that right now Naruto was angry, pissed off at Neji, and he would have to pass here to get to them. Meanwhile, Kakashi had put away his book, as he looked over, ready himself for anything, because Naruto was going to walk past them any minute now. As Sakura had a confused look on her face, the reason being she didn't even see when Naruto moved, as she wondered what the hell just happened. How did he get down there so quickly? As she turned towards Sasuke, who seemed to be as surprised as her. The only thing they felt was a force and their body being pushed back. And then they saw Naruto down there. What the hell was that, dope? Sasuke said to himself. Meanwhile, Zaku looked up. That boy had quite the temper. If he could get him to lose himself in his battle, if the both of them end up going up against each other, he could take advantage of it and kill him. Because that boy has humiliated him twice now. And it would not happen a third time, as Zaku smirked to himself. Back with Naruto, as he was walking the stairs rather slowly, as his head felt heavy, thick, like something was just roaming around in there. Naruto-kun, said Ikayube. It happened again, Naruto said. I lost myself completely. I don't know what the hell it is, said Yamato. But every time you turn or go this mindless, I feel something so familiar. What do you mean, said Naruto. It's something like I felt before, but I don't understand where I felt it before. Yamato sighed. This is just getting worse and worse, he said. You need to learn to control your emotions, because you're gonna let them get the better of you. I know, said Naruto. But watching him hurt Hinata like that, Naruto pulled back his fist and smashed it into the wall, as the wall then cracked. Naruto-kun, calm down, said Ikayube. You're going to have to pass him back to your team. Don't do anything stupid, you will be kicked out of the exam. I know, said Naruto. I have to be calm, because if I'm going to go in the finals, it's going to be fear to kill him, Naruto said. As Ikayube and Yamato did not say anything. As Naruto went up the stairs, the first group he passed by was the sand group. As he stopped, Temari and Kankuro narrowed their eyes, wondering what he want. As Temari then looked at her brother, she saw Gaara's fingers twitching like he was about to do something, as Gaara's body was shaking. Kankuro and Baki stood there as well, confused as hell. What was this? The both of them then turned as they understood now. Naruto was staring directly at Gaara, staring directly in his eyes. Kankuro was wondering what the hell was going on because this kid in front of them, his blue eyes, were slowly shifting into darkness and back into blue. What the hell? Kankuro said out loud. What do you want? Temari asked as she looked at Naruto. She realized now what was going on, something that she has never seen before. Her brother. As Gaara was currently looking into his eyes. Meanwhile, inside Gaara's mindscape, as the Tanuki was feeling something dark. Shikaku didn't understand. As he looked around, he was in a desert of sand inside his mindscape. This overwhelming force that was bearing down on him alone. Shikaku then saw the place turn dark, like night suddenly came. He then looked up to see two eyes opening up, and endless darkness just consuming them. Shikaku was scared. Yes, he was outright scared. Because this was abnormal. This wasn't affecting his house outside, but it was just peering into him. Suddenly, the eyes then vanished, as Shikaku felt the dark presence vanish. Gaara outside was looking back at Naruto. Naruto, just keep on walking, said Yamato. Just make your way to your team and get this preliminary over with, and get out of here. This place is getting you too angry. As the Kyuubi looked over at Yamato, what happened when he's gonna fight? He will just have to end it quickly, Yamato said. Because if they drag out too long, I'm afraid that he will lose himself. As the Kyuubi understood, she couldn't feel the contact between Naruto's body anymore. It was strange. It was like he was a different being from her completely now. She was sealed inside him and yet she couldn't feel the connection between them. She could still pour her yokai out and heal his wounds. But it was different. She felt separate, like she wasn't sealed in him even though she was. She did not understand what was really going on. Up to this point they all just needed answers. Naruto kept on walking by the groups, trying to hold himself. As Tenten winced a bit as she pushed herself off the wall, her body was still wrapped in bandages at some points. After her fight with Temari, as she had, after getting wrapped up, even though the Mage told her she was still injured, she wanted to come and saw Neji fight, but that really disappointed her. She then saw Naruto coming ever closer. As she was scared now because she didn't want things to escalate, she noticed Neji's arm stiffening a bit, so ready for anything. But there were a lot of Jonins here, right? Yes. This wouldn't escalate, right? As she breathed a sigh of relief when she saw Naruto Sensei arrive, Kakashi Hatake. As Kakashi placed a hand on Naruto's shoulder. Come on Naruto, he said, you should be up soon enough anyways. Oh, yeah Sensei, said Naruto. Tenten sighed in relief once again as she heard Naruto's voice. At least it sounds calm. Hey, Tenten, Naruto said. Yes Naruto-kun, she said. Sorry, he said. What? Why, she asked, confused why he was apologizing. Can you tell Guy and Lee sir for me? What are you talking about, she said. As Naruto then turned his head towards Neji. Hey. Meanwhile this was going on, the next fight was about to happen as Ino and Sakura went down there. As the proctor wasn't waiting for any of them. Well, Sir Toby and Anko had their eyes looking over here to make sure everything was alright. As Neji looked back at Naruto with a arrogant glare on his face. He was going to back down no matter what. This brat nearly get a lucky shot on him and that won't happen next time. I'm gonna kill you, said Naruto. As Kakashi heard Naruto's words and the way he spoke them. As Tenten understood now. As she looked back at Neji, who didn't seem to be showing any fear on his face, he just looked back at Naruto. Do you actually think that you can kill me, he said. Someone like you. Oh, there isn't going to be any talking, said Naruto. I'm just gonna kill you. To do that you'll have to make it to the finals, Neji said. I doubt that you'll even pass here. I'm done talking, Naruto said. Just remember what I said. I am going to kill you. As Naruto then walked by, Kakashi released on his shoulder. As Tenten had a worried look on her face. As she looked over at Neji. That was the first time she heard Naruto say something like that. And she didn't know why, but she felt scared. Scared of Naruto, even though she knew he would never hurt her. It was just weird. Neji didn't know why either, but he felt some kind of fear creeping into him. But that is impossible. fate was ensuring that he will win. There was no way he could lose. There was no way someone like him is able to kill him. As Neji shook it off, but he couldn't help this nagging feeling in the back of his mind. As Naruto made his way back over, "What the hell was that dope?" said Sasuke. As Naruto turned towards Sasuke, nothing he said. As Naruto then went completely silent, Sasuke narrowed his eyes at Naruto, still wondering how did he move so fast. Yes, he was still curious about that. Sakura and Ino's fight came to a stalemate as both of them knocked out each other. The next match was Kiba versus Kankuro. As Kiba was fighting a puppet the entire time, when Kankuro finally revealed himself and quickly dispatched of the two, Kiba stood no chance. And the final match was Naruto versus Zaku. As Kakashi looked towards Naruto, "Good luck," he said. "Yeah, thanks," Naruto said, as he hopped over the broken rail and landed on his feet. "Hey, Kakashi." "It's Kakashi Sensei," said Kakashi as he looked towards Sasuke. Whatever, Sasuke said. "Is it me, or is there something off about the dope?" "Well, considering that his best friend just got injured. Bye." "A fellow Konoha shinobi. He's a bit angry, Sasuke." "Yeah, I know that," Sasuke said. "But that's not what I'm talking about." "Then what are you talking about then," said Kakashi. "There's just something off," Sasuke said. Kakashi didn't say anything because he knew that something was really off as well. As Naruto made his way forward, as Hayate looked at the boy, before Zaku stepped forward with an arrogant smirk on his face. "Naruto-kun, just knock this one out and end this match quickly. Even right now you're still angry. You're still pent up." "She's right," said Yamato, as Yamato was completely serious. "Just knock him out. You have already knocked this guy down twice, so it's easy." Yamato then stopped. "What's the matter?" Naruto asked. "Nothing," Yamato said, before turning towards the Kyuubi. "What's wrong?" she asked. This guy's very taunting." "What do you mean?" she said. "If I think he's going to do what he's going to do, we're going to have a big trouble on our hands," said Yamato. "Wait, what is he going to do?" asked the Kyuubi. "Are the both of you ready?" asked Hayate. "Yeah," said Naruto. "Of course," said Zaku. "Begin!" as Hayate jumped forward, leaping out of the fray. Zaku then chuckled a bit. "What's so funny?" Naruto asked. "You claiming to be a ninja." "And what do you mean by that?" Naruto said. "Well, you say that you're a ninja, but you're nothing but a little girl. A crybaby little girl. I'm guessing that girl right there was your friend. She got hurt. You went into a fit of rage. You know that what a real ninja life is capable of, right? Well, you wouldn't, seeing that you live in a pampered village like this. You know nothing of the real world," said Zaku, as he then clenched his fists. "You have humiliated me twice now. It's time to repay the favor." "Oh please," Naruto said, as Yamato and the Kyuubi was happy that Naruto was talking this way, because his jovial side was coming out. "Do you actually think you can defeat me?" "Of course I do. After all, if that worthless bitch was your friend, you must be worthless as well. You probably just caught me off guard those 2 times. "Oh shit," said Yamato. "What did you just say?" said Naruto. "You heard me. Those 2 times was a fluke. You caught me off guard. Or perhaps you're talking about your bitchy friend." "Yeah, about her. That guy over there, he seemed to have beat her real badly. But no, she still stand up thinking that she stood a chance. She should have just sit down, and maybe she wouldn't be lying in the hospital right now, on life support," said Zaku as he chuckled. "I wonder if she's already dead. You know, by the time this fight is over, you would probably be going to the hospital and finding her dead body. That would be a thing, right? But it doesn't matter because you're not going to be leaving here alive because I'm going to kill you," Zaku said, as he then leaped forward. Wind style, Gale Destruction, as he fired out a massive wind burst from his palm out of the hole in his hand. The force connected with Naruto's body as he was sent sailing and smashed right into the wall. As Sasuke narrowed his eyes. What the hell? The dope could have dodged that. As Zaku smirked, "You see? As I thought, you were just a weakling in the first place." Anko started to worry, because Naruto was just lying there. The proctor looked over as Zaku stepped forward. "Oh, don't worry, it's not over yet," said Zaku, noticed the proctor looking. Naruto then stand back up, as Zaku placed hands together. "Still have some fight left in you, huh? Well, Try this on for size, he said. Double force destruction. This time, the wind from both of the hole in his hand, they combine and create a powerful force that smashed into Naruto's body with a terrible force, breaking him right through the wall behind him. As Zaku smirked, seems like I completely overestimated this guy. He's nothing but a damn weakling. Hayate didn't jump down. It seems that the kid head was not into it, and he got defeated. Meanwhile, Temari looked over when she heard Gaara say something. It's coming. As she looked at Gaara confused, but she didn't say anything until they heard chuckling. Meanwhile, inside the mindscape, the Kyuubi and Yamato were looking around. It's happening. It's really happening. We have to do something, said Yamato as he looked around. As he tried to exit, but what the hell? What's going on? Go out there and try to calm him down. Try to at least stop him. I can't leave. What do you mean you can't leave? I don't know, said Yamato. Naruto-kun, said the Kyuubi. I don't think that he can. Yamato then turned as he saw Naruto standing there. As Naruto had a smile on his face, he slowly raised his hand as some kind of a throne came up. As he then sat down, hello you two, he said. What is this, said the Kyuubi. What are you, she said. What are you talking about, Kyuubi-chan, he said. I'm Naruto. What do you mean? Seems like you're losing your mind. Yamato stepped forward. Kid, you need to snap out of whatever this is. As Yamato felt like something was completely off, the Kyuubi could feel it as well. Yes, it was Naruto, but it was not exactly him. Why should I, he said. Because you're gonna lose yourself if you continue up this path, said Yamato. We don't know what this is, and until we have it under control, you have to remain calm. You know, you two are just holding me back, he said. Besides, as he looked at his hand, I feel much stronger, much more powerful this way. Why should I take advice from both of you, he said, when I could. As he raised his hand and lowered it, the both of them sank face first down into the ground, with tremendous force as the ground broke underneath them. The Kyuubi could not understand, as she couldn't even flare her yokai to get out. You should understand something. This is my body, and I'm the leader in here, he said as he got to his feet. And besides, do you actually think that you're stronger than me? Naruto-kun, you need to snap out of it, she said. Or whatever you are, free him. Hinata wouldn't want to see you this way, as she tried to play on his, softer side. Hinata, I suppose you're right, he said. Nah, as he started to laugh. Why should I care? When I'm this strong, why should I care about anything, he said. You can't do this. You need to snap out of this, she shouted. Kid, listen to her, Yamato screamed. I don't think so, Naruto said as he applied more pressure as their body was sent sinking into the ground. Meanwhile, in the real world, as everyone heard that psychotic laughter, as Temari, remember something like that coming from Gaara, but you sound more frightening now. Zaku stood there. Have you lost your mind after that hit that I just gave you? Hey, you're not coming out. The rubble then blew open as Zaku held up his hand. Wind burst, he says, he blew the dust away and the rubbles that were coming towards him. You know, it's finally time I stopped playing around. Throughout all this time, I've been searching through Yamato, finding all these kind of spells. Some of them are quite devastating and could cause mass destruction and damage. But I've been holding back most of them because these were too powerful. Couldn't use them around my comrades or they might end up dying. Zaku was beyond shock. The reason being he was hearing a voice behind him. But how did he get out of that hole without him seeing him? Meanwhile, Anko heard her eyes something was off. Naruto had his eyes closed as he was talking. So, said Naruto as he rests, his arm on Zaku's shoulder. How would you like to die? Do you want me to incinerate your body? Do you want me to chop you up in little pieces? Or do you want me to seal you in different compartments, piece by piece? And then, bring you back together, before ripping you apart once again and seal you away, and bring you back together again? That should be fun, right? dying 3 times over. I wonder how that feels, Naruto said. Zaku quickly jumped away, wondering if this person was psychotic or something. As Zaku landed, he saw nothing in front of him. Hey, why are you running? Zaku was yet again shocked as he heard the voice behind him. Kakashi, Sasuke said. This is what I was talking about. There's something off about him. Kakashi narrowed his eyes. Yeah, he said. As he couldn't deny it now, they could all see. Something just changed when he was blasted in that wall. Reason being his eyes was closed. And plus, Kakashi was having a hard time keeping up with Naruto movements right now. And not to mention there were several strange red marks on his arms, as Kakashi couldn't understand what exactly they were. Meanwhile, Tenten was looking at Naruto as she wondered what happened to him. What was those markings? As Neji narrowed his eyes down. What is that, he thought to himself. And Neji was utterly surprised how fast he was. But he still had his hope in fate. Fate will make him get through everything. Back in the arena, Zaku jumped away as he saw Naruto right in front of him. This time, I'll make sure to get you, he says. He put his hands together. Catastrophic destruction ear wave, he said, as he created a massive ear burst that tore through the very ground underneath him, as the thing barreled towards Naruto with tremendous speed and strength. Naruto raised his hands as a black energy came around it. The force then connected right in his hand before exploding. As the breeze just blew his hair back a bit, Zaku stood there, the shock on his face. Hey, you're really proud of your hand, said Naruto. You know, I wonder. Naruto then held out his hand as everyone watched, as a black aura started to take shape. He then grabbed onto something. It was a hilt, as a blade appeared in his hand. It was completely black, with red swirls going all around it straight up to the handle and the tip. As Naruto then held it like a spear and threw it, Zaku jumped out of the way, but Naruto then shifted 2 of his fingers as the blade started to move around. Zaku landed as he jumped again, but this time he wasn't fast enough. Zaku collapsed to the ground as he cried out in pain and agony. Everyone watching in surprise, as Zaku's arm was completely torn off. As he screamed on the ground in pain, Shikamaru and the others looked over, as Asuma looked towards Kakashi. That kid of yours, he's certainly something different, isn't he? Asuma said. As Kakashi didn't say anything, Zaku looked on the ground. My arm, he said, as he clutched onto the stump. The sword then stabbed into the arm, before it burst into black smoke. The arm then started to rot and deteriorate, until it turned into nothing. The black smoke then came back and Naruto just went inside of his body, as Zaku was crying on the ground. As Naruto jumped over and landed right behind him and picked himself up, Zaku pulled a kunai, still in intense pain because of his stump, as he tried to stab Naruto in the head behind him. But a strange, small circle appeared right in front of Naruto. The moment Zaku kunai stabbed it, the thing exploded on Zaku's end, ripping off 3 of his fingers. Zaku cried out in pain once again, as he felt Naruto grip tight in the back of his neck. Spear me, he said, completely forgetting that this was a match, that he could just literally say that he's given up. As Naruto went close to his ear, tell me, do you ever spear a cow or a pig because they beg for mercy? Hayate saw that this battle was completely one-sided, and there was no way of that boy winning right now because his arm and his fingers were gone. Hayate then advanced on Shunshin as he was about to appear in the arena. The moment he did, though, blood splattered all across his face, as he did not understand what happened. He was there a second ago and was about to come in. Anko had a shocked look on her face. So did the third, as everyone did, because Naruto's hand was literally going through Zaku's back and going through his chest. I guess he didn't make it in time, Naruto said, as he threw Zaku down to the ground. Something was moving in his hand. Before it stopped, it was Zaku's heart, as Naruto then squeezed it until it burst, before flashing his hand. Whoa, that's disgusting, he said, as he then leaned down and wiped the blood on Zaku's clothes. Yeah, much better. Hayate just stood there, the surprised look on his face. before he shook it off as he reached for a cloth and wiped off his face. "Winner, Naruto Uzumaki," he said, as he called for the cleanup crew. As they took up Zaku's body, the Hokage was still stunned from the usual kinds. Sweet Naruto, who just had a foul mouth, to be able to do something this brutal. Uncle was shocked as well. Hayate was the one that couldn't understand though. He was just about to end the match. He vanished on Shin. How did he not make it in time? As he looked at the lifeless boy, Ice. The boy must have felt extreme pain and fear, as the boy had even wet himself, as they were taking away Zaku's body. Back inside the mindscape, as Naruto went up to walk up the railing, going about the stairs, the Kyuubi and Yamato felt the hole just vanish. As the both of them picked themselves up, they still couldn't understand. They couldn't even move at all. The Kyuubi was most concerned. She was one of the most powerful tailed beasts, one of the most powerful things in the world right now. But for Naruto to be able to hold her down like this, with barely enough of effort on his part, they then saw him standing there. Meanwhile, outside in the real world, as Naruto was going upstairs, he finally opened his eyes, because in the entire match his eyes were closed, and that had most people worried as well. As Neji saw Naruto walking up, Neji couldn't understand. His eyes were closed the entire time. He had the Byakugan activated to see, and this power, he couldn't feel what it was. When he tried to look inside Naruto's body, he only saw darkness. But in the center of all that darkness, he saw something red. He didn't know what that was. Something right where Naruto's heart should be. He couldn't even see Naruto's heart in his chest. He just saw something red there. Some kind of red light and darkness surrounded it. He did not understand. Back in the mindscape, Naruto considered Kyuubi, as she looked over at him, a kid. As Naruto stood there, "Yeah," he said. "Are you back?" the Kyuubi asked. As Naruto turned towards her, "I didn't go anywhere," he said. "What are you talking about? You just went crazy for a second there," said Yamato. "I know. But this time it was different. I know what I was doing." "Well, not at first. After I forced you guys down into the ground, I came to my senses. That's why I stopped. But that guy, he needed to die. Whatever power this is, it grants me speed and strength beyond anything I possessed before. And I can even wield some different spells, Yamato. Spells that I never been able to use. I can see them in my mind," Naruto said. He then raised his hand towards the farther west side of the mindscape. "Like this," he said, as he extended its pointer finger. A small red energy formed. Before he fired it, the thing went sailing, as it then stopped. The mindscape was shook violently as a massive explosion erupted by just one of those small beams. As Naruto then held up his hand again, this time 5 balls formed behind him, as they were white. All of them then started to surround his hand before they started to spin, moving so fast that it looked like a blur. The next second they became a disc as he threw it. The thing carved through the ground of the mindscape like it was paper, as it came back towards him as he caught it with ease. "Maybe this power isn't so bad after all," he said. As Yamato looked at the Kyuubi, this power that he has is making him darker than before, as he can see the way he brutally killed that guy without even thinking. But that was not a Konoha ninja, and that guy had insulted Hinata. But they had to make sure he didn't turn his anger on his friends. But meanwhile, somewhere far out of the elemental nations, laughter could be heard. But this laughter was no normal laughter. It was quite demonic, sounding sick and psychotic as well. As the laughter then died down, there was a figure standing there. The thing was huge. Yes, well over the size of Konoha, towering like most of the buildings at the hidden rain. "So what do you think?" said a dark, demonic strange voice. "It certainly is him," said another voice, but this voice was much more soft. "To think that it was you." said a softer voice. I must find him as soon as possible. You know, if I know, then the others know as well, right? They will try everything in their power to not get you to go there. Because they will never go there themselves. Because they're afraid. Yes, but we need him, said a softer voice. Because if we don't get him, there will be no hope. So, are you gonna help me? There's just one reason why I'm doing this. And it's because I owe them. That is the only reason. You understand that. Yes, I do. But I know that you're curious as well. Because he's different from us. Growing up on his own. Not knowing who he actually is. And what he is. But yet he is able to achieve this master already. Don't tell me that you're not curious. Well, I never said I wasn't curious, said a darker voice. So tell me, exactly where is it? It will take a while, but don't worry, you will get there. But, do you think he will just believe you that easily? Well then, I'll have to make him believe me. There you go again acting all high and mighty. And you know, if he truly knew what he is and wanted to crush you, all he would have to do is blink. I am not that weak, said a softer voice. That you say. Now get out of here. I will contact you once I am ready. Once I get what I need. Fine, but do not take too long. This will end soon. As the smaller figure then vanished, leaving the giant monstrosity by himself. As he chuckled once more. At least things are getting a bit more interesting around here, he said. Back at the elemental nations, as everyone was lined up, most of them were still looking at Naruto because how he had just ripped out Zaku's heart like he was nothing and crushed it. But this was a match to kill after all, so what could they really say or do? Alright, said Hayate. Now that you have all drawn numbers, there go the following matches, he said, as he all looked towards the board. The first match, Shikamaru Nara versus Temari of the Sand. Shikamaru sighed, troublesome. Another woman? What? Have problem fighting women? Asked Temari. Shikamaru didn't say anything, he just sighed, troublesome, he muttered. The next match, Kankuro versus Shino. As Shino remained quiet and so did Kankuro. The third match, Naruto Uzumaki. Naruto clenched his fists, waiting to hear who you will fight against. Neji Hyuga. As Naruto slowly turned his head. A lot of people have a lot of different emotions towards this. Well, mostly Sarutobi, Anko, Kakashi, and Tenten. After hearing what Naruto said. The next match, Hayate said, Sasuke Uchiha versus Gaara of the desert. He then handed over the reins back to the Hokage. Alright, the finals will be happening in 1 month. Use this month to learn new techniques. Seeing that your opponents have already seen you battle here, and come back stronger than ever, and faced off in the finals. I wish you all well, he said. And with that, all of them were dismissed. Moments later, so what are we gonna do now? Asked Sarutobi. I've been thinking about it. Whatever this is, we can simply solve the problem. Like, what's inside of Naruto? What do you mean, Uncle said? Sealing, said Sarutobi. Wait, you're gonna try and seal away this strange power? Me myself is not a seal master, but Jiraiya should be returned to the village quite soon. I will plan it out so Naruto meets up with him, but I will inform Jiraiya about everything. I will have Jiraiya take a look at Naruto's seal to try and see if he can advance it in some way to change what is happening to Naruto. So what do we do at the moment? Nothing, Sarutobi said. I want you to make sure that you keep an eye on him. I don't think that anything would make him lose his temper in the village right now. Nothing would push him to that level. But for the finals, we have to make sure that he's in proper shape. Because we can't afford to what happened back in the village. Happened at the finals. I know what you mean, she said. Time skip. Hinata slowly opened her eyes, as she didn't know how long she was out for. But she remembered what happened. and she so looked up in the ceiling to see that she was in some hospital bed. She remembered Neji completely defeating her after she refused to give up. The last thing she saw was Naruto coming over her. She didn't even saw when he arrived on the battlefield. And she wondered what happened. And she wondered where Naruto was and if he passed. Her fist then clenched a small bit as she realized that she hasn't gotten the opportunity to talk to him yet. She hasn't even told him anything. Damn it, what's wrong with me, she said. Hinata then heard the door open. Oh, Hinata, you're awake. As she turned to see, Kurenai-sensei, she said, as she tried to pull herself up. Don't get up so in a rush. I will come over to you. And besides, you don't want to wake your guests, or injure yourself even more. Hinata was confused. Wait, my guests? As Kurenai pointed, Hinata slowly turned her head as she saw the mop of blonde hair. She was confused. Naruto was injured the entire time. She was so focused on herself, not even realizing. As he was sitting in a chair, his head was resting on the bed right beside her. It was a rather large bed with space, so she could understand the reason why she didn't feel him. She looked over at him. You know, he has been here the entire time. Every morning he would arrive. He stayed here, even though I told him that I would watch over you. He just told me that he would stay here to make sure that you're safe. I have literally forced him to go and get some sleep, or to go and eat something. But after he finished, he just come right back here. I don't know what happened between the two of you. But I must say, I don't want you to let a friendship like that go to waste. As Hinata looked up, I wasn't going to, she said. I was planning on talking back to him. We should talk, after all, it's longly overdue. Well then, I'll give you two some privacy. As Kurenai noticed that Naruto was getting up, she then backed away and exited the room. Naruto slowly stirred as he lifted up his head slowly, to come face to face those lavender eyes. Hinata, he said, you're awake. Listen, before you say anything, I know you might still be pissed at me, but I just wanted to check that you were okay. He was about to say something again when he felt a hand on his cheek. Naruto-kun, I'm sorry. What? Why are you apologizing? He asked. Because I was upset. Because after hearing what you did, I just didn't want to lose you. I've been wanting to speak to you for some time about the situations just weren't right. And I didn't get to talk and tell you that I'm sorry for how I've been acting. Can you ever forgive me? You have nothing to apologize for, said Naruto. I understand now why you were so angry at me. I realized I didn't think about anyone else while I was making those choices, neither you, uncle, or anyone. He placed his hand in his stomach. There are some people to me very close and dear, and I guess I should be thinking before I make any rash decisions. So, can you forgive me? You don't need to do that, she said. You've already apologized so many times, and I've just been an idiot, always trying to ignore you. Come on, don't say that, said Naruto. No, I was an idiot for trying to ignore you. You're my best friend, and I would never let our friendship just go to waste like that. As Naruto breathed a sigh of relief, I'm happy to hear that. She then noticed a sad look came on his face. What's wrong? She asked. Oh, it's nothing, he said. Naruto-kun, come on, don't do this, she said. As Naruto sighed, well, you see, recently, I've been slipping. What do you mean? I don't know why, but there's this darkness inside of me that is growing recently. When I saw you got hurt, I had jumped in the arena because I wanted to kill Neji. Hinata said nothing as she just looked at Naruto. The rage I felt was unbearable. I felt my heart pounding. I was seeing black. I wanted to kill him so badly. But after hearing your voice, it just calmed me down. But still, the rage, it's still there. Hinata placed her arm back on his cheek. Are you angry now? No, he said. Well then, I guess I'll just have to be there with you, she said. What do you mean, he said. If my voice is what calms you down, I'll be there to calm you down and make sure that you don't go overboard with things. I don't know how long that will work for. Well then, I'll try my best and my hardest to make sure that it does. I won't let you lose yourself no matter what. As Naruto lowered his head, but she picked up back his head with his chin. I promise. Please, just have faith in me. You know I do, said Naruto. As Hinata smiled. So, you passed, she said. Yes, said Naruto. Who are you going up against in the finals? Neji, he said, without a hint of emotions. Oh, I understand, she said. Can we just not talk about that right now? Besides, we're friends again, right? I've missed you. I've missed you too, she said. For the remaining time, they just spent their time talking. Until Hinata was escorted safely back to her compound. Seeing that her injuries were mostly healed. It has been 2 days that she was in the hospital. 2 days since the Chunin exams were over. She still had to remain bed rest, but at least she was home, as Naruto promised that he would visit her. Right now we have Naruto on top of the Hokage's monument. Yeah, I understand, said Naruto. Besides, remember my abilities are a lot different from anyone in this village. So I guess I have to work on them myself. And I guess I can't go around Guy or Lee anymore for a while. What do you mean, said Kakashi? I just don't want to see that guy. If I see Neji, I don't think that I'll be able to control myself. Well, at least a good thing came out of this, said Naruto. Me and Hinata are friends again. I told you that everything will be sorted out, if you just give her time. I guess you're right, Sensei. Now go ahead and train Sasuke, and make sure he becomes strong as well. He's always jealous of my strength. Don't want him to get too jealous, said Naruto. As Kakashi chuckled. Stay out of trouble, he said. I'll be there to watch you kick ass in Chunin exams. Yeah, said Naruto as Kakashi vanished. As Naruto stood there looking over the village. Meanwhile, at the Hokage's tower. So, that is what is happening. This is quite strange. That boy has been different ever since Minato and Kushina had adopted him. But they still name me his godfather. So he doesn't know anything about that. No, said Sarutobi. I want you to take a look at his seal, to see if that is complex in anything. And also, if you can, to place a seal on him, to restrict some of this power that is flowing inside his body. Because if this escalates too further, I will have to make a choice that I don't want to. I understand, said Jiraiya. As he was in full serious mode talking to Hokage, hearing about the boy that he hasn't seen in so long. What about his chakra? Still no sign of that? No, nothing. Has he made contact with you-know-what? Well, he does know what he is. But I don't know about that. We haven't talked about it since. Well then, said Jiraiya. You know where to find me. Just send him towards me. And I'll make it look like a coincidence that we bumped into each other. As Sarutobi nodded, before he removed the seal from the room, as the room glowed a bit before dying down, Jiraiya then opened the window and hopped through. As Sarutobi then called for an envoy as he appeared in the room. Go and find me, Naruto Uzumaki said. Will do, as the envoy headed off. Meanwhile, out of the elemental nations, they know, said a soft voice, the same voice from before. They know that he's alive. And you're right, they're scared. Especially him. Because they know if he finds out what he truly is, and what he's capable of, he will come back. How do you know that? Said a rough, demonic voice. What if he likes his life in that new world of his? Why would you want to live someplace like that, when he can return here and become you-know-what? You never know what this world has in store for people. Your opinion on him might be completely different when you see him. What are you saying? Said the softer voice. Oh, nothing, the dark, demonic voice said. Did you find him, yes or no? Of course I find him. I know where he was in the beginning. What the hell, the softer voice said, so why didn't you tell me? It's a matter of getting there. As the softer voice sighed, I saw what she did. I know how to get there. It's gonna be difficult. I'm gonna need your help. To see that boy return here. To see some excitement. Of course I'll help. And besides, I already promised said a strange demonic voice. But guys, be in subscribe right here. If you want to next part, if you know what to do, like, subscribe, comment down below, and turn on that bell notification to stay posted. But more for now, see you guys soon. Peace.